And welcome back to another Who Would Win. Pre-recording a couple of these videos. I'm not pre-recording the what if. I'm going to wait till at least tomorrow to do that when my throat's a little better. As I already stated, throat's not the best at the moment. I can talk, I can do this. I just can't do any exasperated impressions or anything like that. Anywho, so from Shadow Dice Gaming, who wins in a fight, Aang or Storm? Now, if you've seen Death Battle and their fight with Korra and Storm, I agree mostly with that assessment. But even though Korra is technically stronger than Aang, she's got I think she had like the light spirit in her or something like that. Aang is still, I think, considered the stronger of the two avatars overall. His avatar state was just stronger. He was, we don't know what he was truly like at his peak, which would have been sometime in his adult years. But we know he was exceptionally powerful, probably surpassed her, frankly, in every element, definitely airbending. And when in the avatar form, he was a literal force of nature. Add on the fact he could energy bend, he was pretty strong. Storm is, look, she's an Omega level mutant. She's literally capable of controlling the weather itself. Not just, it's very common her ability is either wind or lightning bolts, but she can literally summon rain, snow, hail, lightning bolts. She can literally create storms in your head. Like, when I've heard that bit, I'm like, no, that can't be. Well, shit. She can also concentrate, her energy down to a finite point. So, concentrate energy blast of lightning, concentrate energy shot of wind. She can literally cover an entire planet, or at least a large portion of the planet, in a humongous storm, hurricane level. She can fly. She's also a skilled hand-to-hand combatant and the X-Men's best girl. I don't think there's a lot of excuse me, I'm starting to get a little too excited. I don't think there's a lot of argument from a lot of fans that in terms of the X-Men, not the core original five, but the general lineup, Storm is best girl. Jean never, and I like redheads, but I never really cared about her character that much. Rogue is a southern bombshell, but unfortunately that power makes her a little inaccessible unless she's able to control it to whatever degree. Older Jubilee, I could get behind, I guess, a little bit, but who else you got, really? That's actually a good question. Who else do you got on the team? Psylocke's been an X-Men before. Psylocke's all right. Mystique has occasionally been on the team, but Emma Frost is fine. Not a big Emma Frost fan in terms of as a adult male who enjoys the company of women. Emma Frost not really my cup of tea. Too haughty of a personality. Not haughty, but haughty. But no, Storm has always, frankly, been best girl. She is drop dead gorgeous. She still has a sense of humor to her, but she's also almost certainly the most mature of the group. So I know I could rely on her. And she is probably the strongest of them in terms of raw power. Yeah, Jean's got her telekinesis and all that, and telepathy, and she's technically Omega level for that, but she has so much shit she has to deal with in her life that I don't know if I would count that. I would say she's theoretically stronger in raw power than Storm. Storm is just, a great character. But in terms of who wins in a fight, unfortunately, this is, I think, a lot of the same that you got with the Korra fight in Death Battle. Aang, for every element Aang can throw out, Storm either can do the same to a greater degree or has a counter for it. For example, wind, she could throw wind right back at him, and arguably at a greater level, too. Water, she could literally throw an ocean at him, literally. Manipulating wind currents, water current, all that, and literally counteract his water, her water. Now, she can't manipulate earth or fire, admittedly, but water just counters fire, so she can counter that. And lightning is literally a good counter for earth because it will just shatter it and crystallize it, all that. So she does have a counter for every ability he has. Also, Aang is at a disadvantage when it comes to bending because he does need to still go through a certain amount of forms to do a lot of his bending. Not all of it. He can breathe a giant gust of wind out of his mouth, same with fire if he needs to. But earth and water, there needs to be an existing source, and he essentially needs to move on some level. Now, Boomy has shown that he is he can just bend with his face if he wants to. But I don't think Aang ever showed that capability. And the only way to bet, and only way for him to take away her theoretical. Well, here's the problem with the energy bending. Energy bending lets you take away someone's bending, but the bending nature is through your chi, your chakras, and the 7 gates. But mutation is genetic. You can't energy bend mutation away. We know you can get rid of mutation thanks several times. There's been characters who negate mutant abilities, or there have been ways to literally just take a mutant's power away. But Aang doesn't possess that ability. So on raw power, she's probably got the edge over him. If not, they're roughly in the same rough ballpark, with her having probably an edge. She has more versatility because she can just do almost everything he can do. And has answers for things he can do. And she can do it on a literal global scale if she wants to. Not to mention, she does actually have a lot more years of experience than Aang does. I mean, she's a woman in her mid-30s, I believe. She's got decades, and she's got at least a decade, if not more, of combat experience. Aang didn't really get a lot of experience until his later years, and even then, most of that experience was within the span of a year. And she's fought far more dangerous, far more powerful individuals than Aang. So, unfortunately, let's be also clear too, this is one of those fights that would never happen. Aang and her would probably trade like inside secrets about how to bend the elements a little bit and probably get along pretty well. But she is still, I think, just the stronger overall individual, better control too. Her one somewhat weakness is the fact she is claustrophobic. If Aang were to, say, trap her in a rocked prison or something like that, she could freak out, but a lightning bolt would free her pretty quick. And again, if she really wanted to just kill him, she could just create a lightning storm in his brain. So, again, that's just insane she can do that. So, overall, Storm, I think, it takes the win like she did with Korra when they fought. But this is just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. See you next time.